welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode number 106 for the 29th of October 2010. Richard Saunders here with you once again in Sydney, Australia. On this week's show we have a report from the Shonky Awards by the consumer affairs magazine Choice. They give out these awards every year. It's sort of like the Pegasus Award from the JREF or the Bent Spoon from the Australian Skeptics. Shonky, meaning dubious or underhanded, is an award given out every year to a range of products that, in the view of Choice magazine, are frankly shonky. Don't live up to claims, maybe a rip-off, maybe an outright con. And our interest this year in the Shonky Awards was the awarding of one of those awards to the Power Balance Bracelet. So in the view of Choice magazine, the Power Balance Bracelet with its magic hologram, in their words, is a con. We'll find out more soon. Following that, there's a report that I did downtown here in Sydney a few days ago with the Zombie March. Not much to do with skepticism, yeah, okay, but it was a lot of fun anyway. And after that, the think tank, with the welcome return of Dr. Rachie, Joe Benhamu, Eran, Segev, and Maynard. All right, thank you to those people sending in drink ideas. We mentioned some of those coming up in the think tank. But for now, sit back, have that nice glass of cold soda water, and enjoy the Skeptic Zone. For 50 years, Choice magazine has been keeping an eye out for Australian consumers, testing and rating products. This year was the 5th anniversary of the Shonky Awards, the prize no company wants to win. At a press conference in Sydney, Christopher Zinn from Choice magazine announced that the Power Band bracelet was the winner of one of the Shonky Awards.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Shonky for the strongest, bendiest, dumbest and pseudo-science contribution of the year goes to Power Balance.
For this particular marketing campaign, we would say that may be so, but we think it's shonky.
The Power Balance bands as well. I understand that Choice did its own independent testing on that. What did you find?
Yeah, look, we did, I think we'd have looked at the Power Balance without testing it and say, look, there's something a bit shonky here, but we put it through a test of 20 able-bodied adults doing various power and flexibility tests. Sometimes they had the power band, sometimes they had nothing, sometimes they thought they had the power band, but we'd actually removed the magic hologram, which resonates at 7.83 kilohertz, and you know what, it didn't make a skerrick of difference one way or the other. Now, the power band has some placebo effect. It can make people feel something, that's great, but do you really have to pay $60 for such a thing? As I say, the one I'm wearing now is a rip-off version that costs $2, and it seems to do fine.
And now I'm talking with Chris Barnes from Choice magazine. Chris, you did a great little demonstration there with help of some other people about the effects, or should I say the zero effects of the power balance bracelet.
Yes, that's right, Richard. Zero effect is what we found. We did a trial of about 20 people in the end, and it consisted of testing balance and flexibility, since those are two of the things that the Power Balance claims to help you with. It also claims to help with strength, but we thought there might be some OHS issues in testing strength in the lab, so we left that one out. So the test basically consisted of people walking on a balance beam and doing a rotational stretch around, which is similar to some of the demonstrations that Power Balance themselves use, but we did it a little more scientifically than they did. We had everyone went through 3 runs, one without wearing any product, one wearing a product which was intact, so still had its magic holograms and so on attached, and one which was a placebo. It looked exactly the same, but it had its holograms removed. and both sets of products were disguised with tape so that no one doing the trial knew which one was which, and I, who was actually running the trial, didn't know either. So it was a double-blind trial. We'd had one of our lab testers separately, to myself, doctor one of the sets of power balance. So that meant that if there was any effect at all, we really should have seen something show up in the balance and flexibility tests. And the end result was that there was no significant difference between any of the runs at all. Clearly the product is purely placebo.
Absolutely, and that's the conclusion of Australian Skeptics, of course. Have you had feedback or communication with the power balance people?
Yes, as we do with all our product tests, we sent them the results before we published so that they could comment, give them a right of fair reply before we publish anything. So we do that with all our product tests, partly to check facts, but also to give the right of reply. Their reply was that they believed in the product and that if it didn't work, then millions of people would be demanding their money back. And, well, clearly people don't generally demand their money back. Even when they think that something doesn't work, they tend to just give up on it and move on. With regards to the money-back guarantee, we did actually test that. We took a product back to the store where we bought it and said, look, we want our money back, we're not happy with this. And believe it or not, the store there actually tested the product using Power Balance's own test demonstration.
The balance and the flexibility and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah, because they wanted to make sure it was a genuine thing, that we weren't returning some sort of counterfeit. And they'd satisfied themselves that it was the real thing, so they gave the money back. So the money-back guarantee, at least, is a real thing.
Well, if there's one thing to be said that's real about the whole power balance and the holographic band claim is some companies will give you your money back.
That's correct, yeah. And look, if you get some placebo effect out of it, that's terrific. But frankly, you could get the same effect by wearing your lucky underpants or a four-leaf clove or whatever. If there's some talisman that you believe brings you a bit of luck and helps your performance on the sports field, why not wear it?
Well,
but why pay $60 or $90?
Well, that's the point. They're not selling it as a feel-good thing. They're selling it with the specific claims that it will increase your balance strength and flexibility using the science that they've probably cooked up out of a hat.
Yeah, exactly. They use some very pseudo-scientific terms, which are quite convincing if you don't really know much about science or about, biology. They talk about energy fields and frequencies and all this sort of stuff, which are all real things in their own right, but, have absolutely no bearing on the product itself.
It's a classic example of people cooking up a great scheme and being very successful at hoodwinking the public, I think.
Remarkably successful from everything that I've read, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you, Chris, and, I hope that we have some happier news next year on this front.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Now, thanks to Choice Magazine for putting on such a great press conference for the Shonky Awards. And I can recommend Choice Magazine to you. You can subscribe at www.choice.com.au.
Hey, bro.
Oh, hey, bro.
What? On your wrist? Is that a balanced power band? What the?
No. This is a placebo band.
A what?
That's right. New from SkepticBros.com. Placebo band. No more popping pills, painful needles, or smelly ointments.
Huh?
Placebo band uses two powerful, scientifically proven effects, the placebo effect and confirmation bias.
Seriously, there's no one else here. Who are you yelling at?
Placebo bands in 5 fashionable colours are available for only $2 each, plus postage and handling, from SkepticBros.com. Get yours today!
Why do I even talk to you?
I'm your brother, and Mum says you have to.
Well, I'm here at Hyde Park in Sydney. It's Zombie Day, or Walk Like a Zombie. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Jessie.
Hi, Jessie. What's going on here with all these zombies?
It's the annual zombie walk that happens all over the world. There was one in Brisbane today as well.
Oh, God.
And everybody just meets at Hyde Park Fountain and walks through the city like a zombie.
May I wonder why, or just for fun?
Just for fun. It's a part of the Sydney Flash Mobbers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it's just one of those weird things they do for fun.
And it's a... there was
Death bomb.
a zombie just fell over and all the other zombies are jumping on top of him to feed off his brains, I guess. And that's why you're here, just for fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you?
I'm just here for fun as well. I'm also a marshal. Have no idea what's going on. But What I've heard is it's for charity. I'm not sure what charity, but they will be taking donations.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Wait, there's... Now, folks, all the zombies that just ran off in a mad run around the fountain.
They're after brains.
They're after... I wonder who they're chasing. Well, this is very good. I'm pleased to see so many zombies... Oh, they're coming back.
There'll be a lot more if you hang around till about 3.
I think I'll do that because this is too interesting to miss out. Oh, no! They've caught one.
He's joining us.
This is quite a sight. Well, thanks for having a chat.
Thank you.
Now, it's not every day you come across Death himself here in Sydney. Death, there are so many zombies around here. Are you responsible for this?
Sort of. Fell asleep at my job. And I sort of got fired. I can't even get Centrelink to even recognise me anymore. And I went down there and they said, what do you do? And I said, well, I do a killing for a living. And they sort of said, we'll get back to you on that.
Now, you might wonder why Death sounds so strange. Well, Death is actually wearing a death mask.
Yes, I am.
Well, I think there's lots of pickings around here today, Death, so I hope you have a good march.
Yeah, well, normally they should stay dead when they kill them, but unfortunately these guys just keep getting back up and moving.
They do. It's a bit of a worry.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, if zombies could said to have an organiser, I think I found the organiser here. His face is exploding and all sorts of things are happening. Your name is?
Michael Berman.
Michael, what's this all about?
Basically, the undead need to rise occasionally, and what better way to do it than get them all together in the city and go for a nice walk?
A nice walk on a grey, grizzly sort of day.
Oh, well, grey, grizzly sort of day is best day for zombies.
I think it is too. How many years has this sort of thing been going on, do you know?
It's been going on in Sydney for a couple of years, although it was first done in somewhere in California.
Yeah.
In 2006, and then it sort of spread on the internet, and now everyone's doing them.
It's not a bad turnout. I mean, the march isn't on for a little while yet, but still the park's filling up with all sorts of undead creatures.
Yeah, zombie Jesus. I love seeing a good zombie Jesus everywhere.
Yes.
Got a lot of
teddy bear and all sorts of things.
Yeah, a few people from Resident Evil going as Umbrella Corporation employees.
I saw
Pretty
that.
Damn awesome.
So this is fantastic. I imagine it's only going to get bigger and bigger in the years to come.
Oh yeah, this is the first one I've ever organised, so I'm really excited about seeing it expand over the next few years.
Well, all the best with your march.
Thank you very much.
Now, not all zombies are horrible wretches from the graves, and I found some lovely zombies, in fact, coming along here today. Ladies, why you've got blood and muck and everything on your face? Why are you here today?
We've just eaten.
That's right.
Oh, I see. Messy eaters.
Yes. No, it's great. We went to the Michael Jackson Thriller dance this morning, and then we thought we'd do the zombie walk this afternoon.
How did you find out about it?
Facebook?
Zombie walk?
Yeah.
Well, you found out about
found
it
on
Facebook.
Yeah.
Good old Facebook, eh? Bringing the world together in a strange sort of way.
Together.
Bringing zombies together.
All over the world.
And this is the first time you've taken part in the march?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Well, it's the first time I've seen it too, and it's quite remarkable to be surrounded by all these ghouls. And
I wasn't expecting to see Jesus here.
Well, there you go. I mean,
Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition.
He's taking a lot of people by surprise, I think, today. As he normally does. Well, look, thank you very much for having a chat with me. Enjoy your march. You all look fantastic.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Hold on to your brains.
I wouldn't hang out here too long.
Well, the crowd is certainly growing here, and there are a lot of people just wandering by in the parks, stopping to have a look. Can't believe what they see. There's about 200 maybe zombies gathered here now, mostly drenched in blood, dancing around all over the place. People running about. Lots of photographers have turned up from everywhere. I'm just waiting for the first TV film crew to arrive. It's getting quite crowded here with zombies, so this is even before the march starts, so it'll be interesting to see what'll happen. Oh, there's somebody with a knife in their head just walking past me. And as a byproduct of all of this, I'm looking on the ground around the fountain here, and it's sort of splattered with blood every now and then, and black ooze that's gushing from various mouths. People are eating this probably chocolate syrup and just spitting it out. There's someone who just listened to the last episode of the podcast. I can see in the corner there what appears to be a group of Japanese tourists. Very confused. So what's going on here? Well, all zombies come in all shapes and sizes. I'm talking to a delightful couple of young zombies here today. What brings you to this ridiculously interesting place?
Well, my flatmate here is from Canada, and she's been involved in zombie walks before, and she's introduced me to this mad event.
Yes, I am a zombie enthusiast. This is my third zombie walk.
You zombie walk in Canada?
Yes, we zombie walk in Canada. We zombie walk all over the world. You know, anywhere where there's people, there's the undead. So, you know, it can be expected.
What's the attraction especially for you?
I don't know. It's just fun to do for a laugh. I just enjoy dressing up. Halloween only comes once a year, so, you know, any other chances that you get to look all gory.
So is this loosely tied in with Halloween? I'm not sure.
Not really. I think it's more like it would be considered a flash mob, more of a like a cult flash mob in its own way. The same way like the people who come to these sorts of things are the same ones who like the Rocky Horror Picture Show and really like horror movies, and so it's just those people getting up and going and doing things out in the community.
Have you ever been to the big conventions like Dragon Con in the United States, the big science fiction?
No.
Right. This reminds me of that. You see a lot of people dressed up as zombies and all sorts of crazy things at those things.
I'm a zombie virgin. Brains.
Bleeding a lot for your first time.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think you regret coming.
No, a lot of fun, and it's good to see lots of people getting involved and like all of their costumes and stuff, and it's just made me want to go bigger and better next year.
Converted another.
Yeah, exactly.
You've created another undead.
Yes, exactly. Infected her.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No worries.
So the zombie march is making its way through the streets of the city. Hello again.
Hello.
Fancy meeting you here.
I know. Are you enjoying it?
I'm having a great time. Now, we're all marching along. You've gotten the character more than I have, obviously. Are you enjoying the march itself?
It's fabulous. It's amazing to have this huge horde of zombies.
I noticed some people in buses giving you some funny looks, too.
They're cheering us on. They love the zombies. They should be scared, but they're not.
And we're off again. We're just crossing down now in Martin Place, one of the big pedestrian malls in here in Sydney. Hundreds of photographers have shown up. And strangely enough, we seem to be gathering more zombies as we walk along. I don't know where they're coming from. They must be popping out of the graves, I think. Old zombies, young zombies.
Oh, my back. Can't believe how much pain I'm in.
Where's Wally Zombie? I think they've cornered some poor woman down here, surrounding her after her brains or something.
To the line!
It's a bit later on now. Zombies are still marching. TV film crews have come out. Some police over there. People are being marshalled in various directions. But I, for one, think this is a fantastic event. Oh, there's a bridal party up ahead. They're looking a bit worried. There's 100 zombies coming their way. But I think this is a wonderful event. It's all in good fun. There's another bride and groom right beside me. Is this your wedding day, is it?
Yes, it is.
And you forgot to brush your teeth, but don't worry.
Yeah.
And why did you, if you can speak, why did you come to the zombie march today?
It's a bit of fun.
That's what I think exactly. It's just a bit of good fun, and you look fabulous.
Thank you very much for that.
So as the zombies march off into the distance... Hello? There's a South African zombie. I think I'll leave them to finish up and crawl back into their graves. And yes, what a lot of fun it is, the zombie march. Check it out on Facebook. Check it out on Facebook. And if there's a zombie march coming to your city, by all means go along, dress up, and have a lot of fun.
Rational Capital, the podcast for science and skepticism in and about Canberra.
Say it like you mean it!
There's nothing magical or miraculous about that.
Find out more at rationalcapital.com.au.
Whoa! Join us now for Drinking Skeptically in the Think Tank.
You won't talk about that, Maynard. We want you to talk about that, but we are glad. We are thrilled and we are pleased and delighted and overjoyed and happy and delighted, I said that already, that you're joining us for the Think Tank. Hello, Maynard.
Hello, it's great to be here. We were just talking about a discussion I had with a salesperson at Max Black in King Street last Saturday night, but that's not for publication. See, Dr. Rachie knows what that is, and people in the know out there. And in the morning to a lot of people that have been sending me emails about stuff too, because you're picking up a lot of interest from fringe people about this podcast.
Am I? Well, yes. That's good to know.
But please, it's your show.
But ladies and gentlemen, that delightful laugh, the laughter you missed last week, because she was in Wyoming chasing moose. It's Dr. Rachie back with us again. Hi, Dr. Rachie.
Hi, Richard. Yay!
Yay! Your fans have missed you.
They have. Actually, somebody wrote on a blog that they missed you in the Think Tank.
Oh, that's very sweet. Well, yeah, I was chasing moose, but we can talk about that a bit later, maybe.
Right. That's what the kids are calling it now.
That's what the kids are calling it now. And it's great to see you back again, Nurse Jo. Jo Benhamu.
Hi, Richard. It's been ages.
Yeah, you haven't been along for a while, but I know that you've had some interesting things to look at.
I have.
Which we will get to in a moment.
Absolutely.
And, of course, rounding up the five of us tonight, it's Eran Segev.
Hi, Richard. It's good to be back.
You too.
I heard my fan missed me.
Oh, your mum listens to the show, does she?
No, he listens to the show when he goes home again, you see. Last week, I mentioned on the show that I invited listeners to write in with their favourite drink, the drink of choice that maybe we could have as the official Skeptic Zone drink. And I've had some people writing in with their drink of choice. Let me turn to one now. We've had absinthe.
Oh, now this is a great drink.
You like absinthe.
Yeah. Look, I'm not... Since they took the LSD-type quality out of it with the wormwood, I've not been so big on it. But, I give it a go, and you just throw in your own acid.
So thank you, Howard Lovett, who has written to us. In fact, he's invited us all to have a glass with him. And this is something we may take up before long. And we have another suggestion from Matthew McCarthy. He reckons that we should have rum and honey. Oh, doesn't that sound nice?
Very wintry.
Rum and honey.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit of a cold at the moment. That sounds like a good thing to have with a cold.
So, folks, keep those drinks coming in, cocktails or interesting...
They're not drinks that they've been sending. They've been sending emails.
Send drinks.
And the hallucinogen of the week is wormwood.
Let's start off the think tank tonight with an interesting subject that's been popping up on the internet lately, and I know we've got a lot to get through tonight on the show. The old saying, preaching to the converted. Now, there are a lot of people out there who criticise skeptics and conventions, and of course convention is on our mind at the moment, with TAM Australia coming up. People whinging, saying, or whining, why do we waste our time simply preaching to converted? What use is that? Now, I take offence to that personally because, heavens, who's more converted than me personally? Yet I love going to conventions, the amazing meeting, Dragon Con and all of this, because I don't think for one moment that I know everything there is to know about what we do in skepticism and the new critical thinking and all that. And every time I go to one of these conventions, I learn a hell of a lot. So I'm converted and I'm happy to be preached to because I know I come away learning more and more. I wonder what the thoughts are of the people around the table.
Well, this kind of started, Richard, because there's an article in this month's Skeptical Inquirer written by Dr. Karen Stolzno about TAM8, and she does mention that there was some people saying that it was really about preaching to the converted, but it's also based on some of the discussion that's come off the end of TAM London. And there were a couple of blogs that were citing, first of all, that it was preaching to the converted, but second of all, that it was excluding grassroots skeptics because by being elitist, by having it in a hotel where it costs 200 quid to go, and that skeptics should really start thinking about what is really the course of their ideas, and so I think that's where it kind of started from.
Yeah.
But I think Joe's got something to add to that.
Yeah, look, I've read a few of the blog pieces that have been doing the rounds at the moment, and I've got a number of criticisms of what's been said, and they go to a couple of issues. Number one is the notion of preaching to the converted. I understand the concept, and I think that in any community, and in one like the skeptical community, there is the risk sometime of getting too self-involved, getting very involved in talking amongst ourselves, and I think it's something that we can be mindful of. However, I think that the skepticism and the skeptical community is evolving and changing, and particularly in the last few years it has been rapidly growing, and people who previously would have been very aware of their own skepticism but not necessarily in contact with other skeptics have suddenly found that there are all these people out there who think the way they do, and they're suddenly finding that there's a community of people out there who think the same way about the world, and they want to nurture that, and they want to develop it, and they want to use it to make a difference. The thing is, conventions like TAM and DragonCon and places which offer an opportunity for us all to get together, I think are a valuable opportunity for us to brainstorm, for us to be physically in the same place together, to hear some of the people who we admire actually talk to us, and really use those as opportunities to then get together and develop new groups, come up with ideas that we can then take out into the general, take out into the community and share with the general public. And I think that it's a bit of a incorrect notion to think that we're constantly preaching to the converted. These are valuable opportunities to really get together and then disseminate what we know to our families and friends, and in research and so on. And I think it's a false way of looking at it.
But we only do this 2 or 3 times a year, maybe, right? We get together.
Yeah, and the rest of the time, we're working our butts off, writing blogs, doing shows for kids, going out and doing public speaking.
People are writing books.
I just went to a conference in America, which was a whole bunch of scientists. Do you think we sat around afterwards going, "Oh my God, we only talked to the scientists"? What a load of nonsense!
Yeah.
Of course, we get together as a professional group and talk about our work, and then we all go back to our respective labs and we do our work, and then we go and talk about it to the public.
It's implied with the criticism that the skeptics, these elitist skeptics, just spend their time feeling good and gathering amongst themselves.
Well, it's the inference is we sit there patting ourselves on the back saying, "Oh, we're really clever."
And then what? We go home for the rest of the year and just sit back and do nothing.
Well, I don't know about you, Richard, but I don't do nothing,
Well, I was meaning to bring up, you do the stuff for children, but I don't think balloon folding to explain plank time and quantum entanglement really works that well for kids. Because, sure, you can make a cute little dash hand out of balloons, but how's that explain quantum entanglement? But I think you've got
Eran
something
was
to say
going to say
The notion, first of all, I think people are forgetting that the community is important. It drives people to do things. And also, there is this thing about not everybody having to actually go out there. Let's assume that half the people at TAM, let's say 3/4 of the people at TAM don't do anything other than going to TAM.
Yeah.
That still leaves, 1,400 people that were there this year? 1,300 people? So that leaves several hundred people who will actually, after TAM, be reinvigorated, will know more people, will know more things, and will go out there and do things. That's if only 1/4 or 1/3 of all people actually do something.
And a classic example of this is our very good friend Travis Roy, right, for the Granite State Skeptics. Now, I correspond with Travis quite a lot, and my goodness me, the amount of effort he is putting in to all sorts of skeptical endeavours. And this sort of thing
But it's only in New Hampshire, though.
Oh, well, there you go.
But can I just add something to that, too? I mean, one of the critical blogs that was written after TAM London this year resulted in a lot of discussion, and it turned out, as far as I'm aware, from Tracy King, that this guy didn't even go to TAM.
Oh.
So the person who wrote the blog was super critical of this elitism and saying that we're all sitting around going, "Oh, good on you, mate," and didn't go to TAM, and apparently has never been to TAM, I believe. So it's the people that are not there that seem to be the ones that are most critical.
I think it's sour grapes. I mean, really, I think maybe he wanted to do it and he couldn't afford. And you know, we have the same thing here now. We're organising TAM Australia, and we have people who complain about the price. But the reality is that these things cost money. But these are not the only things that you can do in skepticism. These are not even the only social events. There's plenty of other opportunities.
And you know what it's turning into now, Eran? It's kind of like shifting the goalposts in a way, because people are saying, well, we can't afford it. And we're saying, well, this is not the only thing. And then they're saying, oh, yeah, but because TAM is around, that's crushing the skeptics in the past things that we use.
It's absolutely not true. It's reinvigorating. It's making it bigger.
There's now a second drinking skeptically or skeptics in the pub night
in Sydney.
It's starting next month in November.
I think it's just there's absolutely no evidence at all. Sorry, that's the case. There's no evidence at all that TAM and other organised skeptical events that cost money have anything at all to do with reducing the level of skeptical activism. I think, if anything else, they probably increase the amount of skeptical activism.
Look, as someone who is the least educated around this table, I'd just like to say a few words here. Look, and you've noticed me writing down words here, because I noticed you using words to describe this almost in a religious connotation. I mean, we've heard preaching, we've heard believers, we've heard converted. The only word, and you almost hit on it then, was evangelistic. You almost used the word evangelistic there. And I think that's interesting that you're describing almost what you're doing in religious terms some ways, which is not at all what you're doing. I imagine there's a few atheists in the skeptic movement. Just a few. You know.
That gives me an idea.
And it's almost like
collection.
That'll sort them out. And make sure you do it like the Catholics do, send it around twice.
Right.
Yeah. And look, it's almost like there's a bit of a schism going on here. Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
You're going, we've got the elite people. Someone's going to nail something to a door.
I think it's a few people complaining. I don't think it's a schism would imply that there's a majority or a large number of people who complain. I think it's a small number of people who complain.
Oh, hang on. No, I think the technical term is grumble bums.
Grumble bums. I like that.
But there's nothing wrong, and I've heard this on non-skeptical podcasts. There's nothing wrong with preaching to the choir, because eventually the choir will go out and be evangelistic if they believe.
Yeah. Well, put it that way.
And I can understand people thinking you're being elitist, but if you put these things on, they cost a certain amount, and you have to do them for a certain price. And look, I would go to a conspiracy convention in a heartbeat. We just don't have them here in Australia. I mean,
actually, yes.
Do we?
We do, yeah.
I mean, because
they're not that big.
Yeah, well, the Fortean Times has a great one.
Because nobody knows about them because they don't tell anyone.
I think one of the comments that was made on one of the blogs was in fact, it wasn't a blog. It was actually an article that was published, and the wording was something along the lines of, why do X when you could do Y? In other words, why go to gatherings of skeptics and navel gaze and talk amongst each other and pat each other on the back when you could be going out there and sharing all this information with the general public? And a comment that was made on this, which I thought was really important, was that it's a false dichotomy. Why is it one or the other?
Yeah,
you can't. Yeah. I mean, much like in medicine or in anything else, or any other scientific endeavour or anything really, you can't have the group of people who are part of that community not talking amongst each other and then communicating that to other people.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's really just one individual going around and talking to people about being sceptical. If you're not communicating with other skeptics and checking your own, how do you know what is? What are the buzz issues? How do you know? I mean, obviously you can do it from just reading and so on, but you need to be communicating with other people. You need to actually be arguing with other people. I mean, arguing is important. Debate is important. No one is saying it's not. But
Joe, it's a preposterous position to take, because every industry, every discipline has people get together and discuss things. By nature, we do it every day. We all have jobs. We go to work. We discuss it with our colleagues.
I think
Just look at Sexpo the other week.
Maynard, I do again and again and again.
It's a top video, that one.
And where can people see that video?
Oh, of course, at your site, at my site, maynard.com.au.
Thank you.
Or just anywhere. But I think what you're getting at, I think people seem to have a great fear of intellectual elitism, which skeptics are accused of quite a bit, mainly because you guys have, you've actually got, a credit at university and that kind of stuff, and you didn't go to the bar all day.
Some of us actually think...
A lot of people don't.
Yeah. I actually think it's not about that. I think, I see all the criticism, and I think it's all to do with money. It's all to do with the fact that these events cost money.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't afford them.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it's that is because you don't see any criticism, for example, of different forms of skeptics in the pub. I mean, there are skeptics in the pub with a speaker. There's ones where they just drink and talk amongst themselves.
That reminds me, I'm just going to the bar. Now, for those who, what he said, a key word there which activated an MK Ultra thing in my mind to go to the bar, so I'll be back. See? None of them know what MK Ultra is, see?
Oh.
You people know what I'm talking about.
He's off. Actually, there he goes, off to the bar. Eran, you were saying.
Quickly, before he comes back. So I think the fact that there's no criticism of other forms of skeptical activities that do not cost money raises the suspicion in me that it's very likely to be simply people who really want to participate in TAM but can't because they can't afford it, or that they think all skeptical activities should be free, which I think is just silly.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand this notion of it's as if people have a right to attend TAM. It's an event. It costs money to produce.
Costs money, yeah.
It costs money to attend. Even if the organizations organizing it were actually making money, which we know is not the case, but let's even say that were the case. Okay, let's say that JRF and Australian Skeptics were making hundreds of thousands of dollars out of TAM.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, nobody has a right to attend any of these events. It's a privilege, and we've done a lot to, for example, from our perspective, we've done a lot to make sure that as many people as possible can attend.
But not only that, Eran, not that the four of us left at the table now who are involved in TAM have terribly much to do with this, but there is an awful lot of free events around town, you know? The fringe events, pub nights and meetings and groups and activities. So even if you've missed a ticket or you can't afford it, you can still meet these people and have a great time.
But I'm just seeing in front of you, Richard, I know this is a bit of a segue now. I'm reading upside down an email from someone saying Belfast Skeptics had their first meeting this month.
Well,
I mean, they must have got inspired from somewhere.
I was just
Do you
about
think it was
to.
They sat around by themselves and had an epiphany, or?
Well, let me mention.
No, they probably made a collection and then they could afford listening to podcasts.
Let me mention that right now. I was going to come to this. Sorry, Joe.
Oh, sorry, Richard. No. What I was going to say was, I mean, you know, I think I've said before on the podcast that until I really knew that I was a skeptic, I'd thought this way my whole life, and I'd known about the Australian Skeptics for a good 10 years. It was only, about 4 years ago that I really... it was not that long ago, but the thing was that it was really a lot to do with my awareness through a lot of the stuff that is going on in the community that gave me the confidence to actually say, hey, this is a group of people I want to try and get in contact with. And for me...
Actually, we're very glad you did.
Thank you. But I made a choice to get involved in this. And the thing about skepticism, the skeptical community, whatever you want to call us and whatever it is that we're doing, is really a choice of how much you want to put into it and how much you want to get out of it and what you want to do with it. And there are people out there who are being referred to as small s skeptics, and they're people who think of themselves as skeptics and they go about their life and they utilise the tools of critical thinking and so on. And then there are those of us who really are trying to actually be more activist in the community. And I think
takes
that
all kinds.
Exactly, and I think that there is a lot of different machinery out here that is making this work, and some of it is driven by small individuals out there doing tiny little things, and some of it is driven by the bigger organisations. And I think that it is really unfair to say, I don't know if unfair is the right word, but I think it's not helpful to say that those bigger organisations are somehow... It's almost conspiracy theorists.
Well, do you know...
Almost conspiracy theorists.
But the thing is that when TAM London was happening and this whole business was about... because the JRF said the money that they made from TAM would go on funding to stuff in the UK. And there was all this stuff on Twitter about where's it going to go? Are we going to know where it's going to go? Can we apply for the funds? We want to know where it's going to go. As if it was people's right to know where the JRF would send their money throughout the UK. Now, I agree with you, Eran, that it's really bizarre to me. It's this whole thing about ownership that seems to happen in this community. And I work in an industry as well where there's a lot of people involved from different levels and different, education, but they don't seem to... Whenever we have scientific conferences, the people that can't afford to go don't stamp their feet and write a livid blog. You know what I mean?
No.
They just... And if you want to go and see the Village People with Maynard and you don't have $150, you don't...
Excuse me, it's Village People. They are a... They're not... How many times have to tell you? They're not a collective noun, Dr. Rachie, okay?
I apologise. But if you can't afford to go and see Maynard supporting Village People, then you just cop it sweet. You don't... And you don't attack the whole... live music industry and say it's all a conspiracy.
And it doesn't mean that you're somehow then excluded from that...
from going to see a band at the local
music
pub.
Or from... You know, and nothing about being unable to attend a big event like TAM excludes you from being a skeptic or being part of the skeptical community and contributing in whatever way you want to.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
David Powell from Belfast has written to me. Don't look shocked, Maynard. David Powell from Belfast has written to me saying that they've got a Skeptics in the pub now. They'll be meeting on the 6th of November when they'll be having a talk by mind reader David Mead. That sounds interesting.
I would love to go drinking with Irish skeptics. That would be cool.
I would love to go skepticing with Irish drinkers.
That would be really cool.
But how I would love to be there. What a great occasion that would be. Look, folks, if you want to know more about the Belfast Skeptics, the advice is to head to Facebook. Head to Facebook and just search for Belfast Skeptics. Give them a look on the old Google there. They've got a Facebook group at the moment, which is a series of numbers, really, but just look for Belfast Skeptics. Look, all the best, Belfast Skeptics. How I wish, and I'm sure everybody at this table wish we could jump on the plane tomorrow and join with you.
We would love to.
It's the start of winter there. I'm not sure you want to do that.
Look, mate, I tell you, I would be on that plane tomorrow. I really would.
Too. Yeah. There might be mooses there.
There might be Irish mooses.
What's the plural of mooses?
Meese.
And send us some photos from that event.
Send us some photos.
You can put them up on the site.
Mooses? Yes.
And Rachel.
Dads.
Rachel.
Two dads.
There's a new word has entered the language. We've made up a new word for the sound that a moose makes when it's walking in the snow. What is that word?
Ploff.
Ploff.
Ploff. Ploff. Ploff.
But of course, one of the other huge events that's happening in the next few months here in Australia and New Zealand is the Styrofoam Tour by George Hrab.
Oh, yes.
Goodness gracious me, he's going everywhere. He's going to Brisbane, Melbourne, Christchurch, Auckland, Adelaide, Canberra, Sydney. The guy's going to be a wreck. All I can suggest...
Is he walking? Is that the problem?
He is.
He's not going in an order that makes sense.
No, he's not.
Okay. Sort of, this is a bit of a visual thing, but he's sort of going like this.
He is. Arm around the back of the head.
Arm around the back of the head.
Okay, George Hrab will be at TAM here, of course, on the 26th and 28th of November here in Sydney. Then he's heading up to Brisbane on Monday, the 29th of November, to do a gig. Location to be announced at the moment. On the 30th of November, he's going to be in Melbourne at the Clyde Hotel in Carlton. And then on the 1st of December, he's in New Zealand in Christchurch, the Twisted Hop in Christchurch. Auckland on the 2nd of December, which hasn't, the details have yet to come along.
Do you want some music behind that while you're announcing it?
Yeah, right. Yes, thank you, Maynard. Captain Pogosh. Adelaide on the 3rd of December at the Royal Institute of Australia, Adelaide, and Canberra on the 5th of December at King O'Malley's Irish Pub, where you and I spoke, Rachel. The Styrofoam Tour, if people just Google George Hrab Australian Tour, they'll certainly get more up-to-date information. Wow. I mean, this guy's going to be a wreck by the end of it, but he's one of the best acts I've seen in the skeptical world. A great musician, a fantastic show. Do not miss George Hrab's Styrofoam Tour.
So have we changed the name of the tour to the Arm Around the Back of the Neck Tour now, have we?
Thank you, Joe. All right.
It's not as loud as it used to be.
No, it's not as loud. No.
But they do speak.
Talk to them about it.
The bus is smaller, I think that's why.
That's it.
They don't want as many people getting on.
Now, listeners may be aware if you look at the Skeptics website, www.skeptics.com.au. A few days ago, I put up a little report I did about the hot band folks.
Is that for period pain as well, Richard?
It could be. which is a knockoff of the Power Balance, which is, as Choice Magazine have said, a barefaced con.
A barefaced con.
Yeah. I'm wearing a couple of placebo bands on me at the moment. But Chemist Warehouse, Maynard, Chemist Warehouse are selling the Hot Band.
Oh, I've been there. Oh, that's a great place.
Yes, it is. For various
Which
things.
aisle were you in, Maynard?
Well, can I say, look, I paid for the TAM thinking it was the amazing medication. Nothing of the sort.
Right. Anyway, the Chemist Warehouse, which is a chain here in Australia, are selling a hologram placebo device. Let's be honest.
Hey, it's got 2 holograms.
2 holograms, I'm sorry. It's even twice as strong. And a good friend of ours, a good skeptic by the name of Chris Higgins, wrote to them saying, what are you playing at? Why are you selling this stuff? Here's the reply. Here's the reply from Chemist Warehouse that he received, I think, only today or yesterday. Whilst we appreciate your point of view regarding holistic homeopathic products, Chris also mentioned those in his email, as well as Hotband. In dismissing them as placebos, the Australian public has a wide and varied belief in all things such as religion and medicine.
What's religion? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Actually,
got to do with it.
It's got everything to do with it.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It's good that they made the link.
They go on.
It's all about faith. It is.
I've never seen him look like that.
There's the laugh you love so much, listeners. They go on to say, we believe that if even one person can be alleviated of their pain or symptoms from the use of any of these alternative products, albeit as a placebo effect, then we are doing a community service.
I think that we should all Twitter that when we get home.
This is exactly the same response that the CEO of Boots gave the inquiry in the UK about the fact that they're selling homeopathic remedies. And I believe that the response there from the chairperson of the committee was something along the lines, that's not a serious argument, is it? I remember Rebecca was reporting on it, and she said something along those lines.
Oh, dearie me, it's a strange world.
He went to the evidence check and said, we know it doesn't work, but our customers want to buy it, so we sell it, even though we know it doesn't work.
And I think he also said something along the lines of, why would people buy it if it didn't work, or something like that. And that the response to that was, that's
serious?
That's not a serious argument, is it?
Let me sorry, man. Let me very quickly, 2 more things, and I'll let everybody else have a ramble. I know you're waiting. Just to let people know that I've had word that there's an alert gone out to parents here in Sydney about whooping cough, which is very sad that this is still raising its ugly head.
10 babies have died now in California.
Yeah. Really? That's terrible. And a quick story, again, to do with these power devices that... now, the Richard Orman, who is the host of Dogma Free America podcast for various channels, including Travis Roy, has brought to my attention that UC Boulder are promoting or using something called the Power Force, which, as you might guess, is yet another energy wristband.
And don't get the cheap ones. You've got to get the one that hold in place.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No one here seems to be shedding a tear for the death of Paul.
The
psychic octopus.
Yeah.
Now known as Paul the psychic calamari.
Maynard, I think you managed to usurp just about every one of my news items for this week.
So, Maynard, do we know if Paul died of natural causes?
Old age?
I suspect so, because if it had been some incident, he obviously would have known.
But he couldn't have prevented it, though, could he, necessarily?
Look, I think once he got famous, he got into the usual thing, got crazy on the gack, got drinking, and like if you pull the bottle of alcohol into the tank that you're in, it's not a good toxic environment.
Do you know what I reckon happened? He had his peak during the World Cup, and then nobody interested about him anymore. And then he fell into drugs, and he ended up in a hotel room by himself, smoking drugs, drinking booze, and
fell asleep on a barbecue.
Yeah. Joe, he fell asleep on a barbecue.
She's got an evil look on her face, folks.
And look,
And then you came along and nommed him, perchance.
I was only going to bring to everyone's attention my my bad research design for the week.
Yes, go on.
So I have a look at our nursing journals fairly regularly, and I came across
Not those kind of journals, Maynard.
and I came across one recently. It was done by a doctor and a couple of nurses in America, and the title of the article is "Endoscopic Procedure with a Modified Reiki Intervention."
What?
Now,
What?
basically,
I'll give you your bum.
I'll give you.
It's much more pleasant that way.
Yeah, I'll basically tell you. I work in an area where we do colonoscopies, and they can be quite painful procedures, and they're not usually done under an anaesthetic. And I've noticed more and more these days in the literature, a lot of nurses are dabbling in doing things like Reiki during colonoscopies and things like that to try and.
I thought colonoscopy were done under general anaesthetic.
No, they're not. If you go to a private hospital, you may have it under a general anaesthetic.
That's why right, okay.
So your last one was not? Or
Well,
what?
my parents have always had it under a general, so they must be going to the really expensive hospital.
It's not necessarily a full general anaesthetic, but usually there's different drugs that we can use.
I'll step up to the plate.
I'll ask about them later.
Is it intracolonal Reiki?
No, I'll step up to the plate.
I'd love to see that one.
I've had a colonoscopy.
That's brilliant.
And
Richard,
with
Reiki, in fact, I have to say, I would encourage anyone over the age of...
I'm over 40, so I did.
Yep.
And it was under a general.
Yep.
So I went and had a nice sleep and it was all over.
Yeah, look, I'd encourage anyone over the age of 45, 50 to speak to their GP, particularly if you've got a family history of bowel cancer. A lot of people are really frightened to go and have colonoscopies done because of the ick factor and so on.
The actual getting it done is not so problematic. It's the day or two before
It's the bowel
when you've got
preparation.
when you've got to be Mr. Poopy for 2 days before.
I know.
Otherwise known in the real world as don't make any other plans.
Absolutely.
But isn't that just like detox?
Well, unfortunately, despite the fact that we've been doing these for decades now, they are yet to come up with any better way of doing it.
What about the virtual one they're working on?
Even with virtual colonoscopy, which is done using a CT scan rather than having to have the lovely colonoscope wound away around your colon, you still have to take the bowel preparation.
Yeah, but the point
Otherwise,
is...
all we see is a lot of poo.
The point is that, the few days beforehand is interesting, to say the least, but once you're in there, it's all over pretty quick and you're asleep. So
absolutely, and the thing with
it's
colonoscopy is that if we can find polyps and remove them before they grow into a cancer, then it's one of the best methods for preventing
Then you'll be
cancer.
kissing your ass for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So how do you involve Reiki in this process?
So basically, a couple of nurses and I think a doctor decided to try a Reiki intervention to decrease patient anxiety before and during colonoscopies.
Oh, so not on their bum, on
their bum.
They'd run out of Valium that week. What was going on?
Well, no. They did it with sedation. So they had the sedation as well as this, and they were looking at various factors. But what particularly had me giggling and face palming and various other violent responses, head desking, was the design of the study. It was called a prospective, non-blinded, partially randomised patient preference design.
That sounds like sleazeball.
That's just like words that mean we just made it up. Kind of.
I'll just read to you a little bit from this. As part of the usual pre-procedure screening visit by the gastroenterologist, individuals were informed about the study and invited to participate. If interested, they were given written information about the Reiki intervention to take home and read. On the day of the procedure, the principal investigator spoke with each potential subject, explained the study in detail, and ascertained interest in participating.
Right, so no blinding.
After written consent was obtained, patients were randomised to the experimental pre-procedure Reiki intervention or control usual colonoscopy care group. Some patients, randomised to the control group, requested to be in the Reiki group. Necessitating a modification of the design to a partially randomised patient preference design.
What?
I'm not going to go into any further detail about this study. Suffice to say that this is the kind of study that I'm seeing published in nursing journals these days. And if my profession wants to take itself seriously as a profession which is scientific and evidence based, can we at least come up with something better? Richard, I just wondered if I can just take a minute to do a little bit of self-interested plugging.
Yeah, sure.
Slightly political, but, we were talking about some of my nursing stuff before, and in New South Wales at the moment, we've got a real problem in our public hospitals of not having enough nurses or enough registered nurses to look after our patients safely. And we've known for a long time now that registered nurses or having registered nurses to look after patients is one of the best things that we can do to have good patient outcomes.
Right, of course, yeah.
And at the moment, our nurses are struggling under the weight of having to look after far more patients than they can really manage. So the New South Wales Nurses Association has embarked on a campaign to push for nurse-to-patient ratios, which they have in Victoria, but we don't have in New South Wales. And anyone who would like to support that campaign can go to www.one-four.com.au, and it's something that, from nurses' point of views, yes, our backs are breaking and we've got a terrible workload, but we want to see our patients get the best care possible, and we can do that by pushing our government and our opposition and anyone who cares about healthcare to ensure that that's the outcome we get.
And of course, don't forget, listeners, that one day, that when you're in hospital, you will be very grateful for the professionalism and the care that nurses give you.
Thanks, Richard. We really want to see the best thing that we can get from this, and it really is a concern that, as we've talked about on the show before, with the way healthcare is going in terms of some of the things we see in pharmacies, and a real devaluing of quality in care. If we don't push for this kind of thing and push for what we know to be the best evidenced care, whether that's behind the treatments we do or the staff that we have to look after people, then we're not doing the best thing we can in healthcare.
Folks, it's been one of the most entertaining and interesting think tanks I can remember since last week.
And no footwear has been thrown.
That's right. And I would like to sincerely thank the team tonight. Maynard, thank you.
My pleasure.
You've come a long way tonight to be with us.
I have. That's why I drink heavily, because it's always the end of my week here when I'm here, so I find that's the best way to do it. And I leave you with this thought.
Yes.
No one expects the third shoe.
Whoa. Eran, Segev, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, Mum.
Nurse Joe?
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. And Rachel Dunlop, still a little jet-lagged, I fear.
I am a little bit, but I want to give a big shout-out to the Salt Lake City Skeptics, who hosted me last Saturday night in Salt Lake. Thanks very much to Patrick, who organised a talk for me, and it was a fantastic weekend in Salt Lake. So I'm hoping to come back to the States again soon, although I've just got back for the third time. And I just want to add a little caveat. I've been getting some grief on Twitter because last time I was on the think tank, I was saying how great Delta was, and ever since I said that, they've failed me.
Oh, no.
No.
So Delta, pull your socks up.
And I'd like to again thank the whole team tonight. And until next interesting think tank, cheers, everybody.
Oh, cheers. Cheers indeed. I should apologise for my laugh.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Thank you to those people who subscribe for 99 cents a week to the Skeptic Zone. You can do that by going to our website at www.skepticzone.tv. Scroll down a bit and you should find the links. Only 99 cents a week. What a bargain, folks. What a bargain. And your money does go to good use. Now, the TAM Organising Committee have told me that we still have some places left for sponsorship or vendors in Sydney, Australia, at the amazing meeting. If your company or organisation are interested in being represented by the way of sponsorship, or if you have something to sell, or maybe some information and you want to have a table, a vendor's table at TAM Australia, there are still some spots left and a chance for you to be involved. So drop me an email here, richard@skepticzone.tv, and I'll forward that on. But for now, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to The Skeptic Zone. visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.
The Skeptic Zone.